Thank you, Lori. Actually, for those of you who are worried about the beard, what I learned is when you grow a beard to a certain size and you cut it off, it becomes self-sufficient. So it's apparently out there. And if you see it, I'll give it my best. We're still trying to determine what it eats, but apparently on Melrose Island it was spotted. And there were a couple of raccoons running away from it, which worries me. I feel like either the secret's out or everyone here is now sharing a secret that I discovered when I arrived here in Los Angeles back in 1991. As obsessed and as represented by the world of film that LA is, I noticed immediately the extraordinary literature that was present in this city. I mean, and it's the possibilities for literature here. And I can remember going to Largo on Fairfax and listening to these great poets read, and yet no one seemed to be talking about the novels or the books or the poems that were being written here. And how rich this city is to find, you know, all sorts of themes and music that extend throughout the world. And certainly it's a great pleasure to be in the company of these writers here. You know, Jonathan is just one example of someone who takes just the food in this city and brings to life the history of that food, the history of the people, the way the cultures come together, the way they deviate. And so it's a great honor to be part of Slake, which is, I think, finally embracing the remarkable literature and city that this place is. So thanks for coming out, supporting this quarterly, and now I'm going to read my very opinionated piece on poetry called The Promise of Meaning. In 5 parts. Part 1. Writers who do not read poetry cannot be taken seriously, which goes self-evidently for poets, just as evidently for novelists, philosophers, historians, and perhaps less evidently for jotters of laws, judgments, appraisals, prescriptions, blogs, tweets, text messages, menus, directions, and grocery lists. Without a slow and careful consideration of how words move, form, diminish, connect, enact, deceive, sway, detach, destroy, allude, reattach, imply, fail, obscure, seduce, reveal, relax, undo, hold, tease, estrange and clash, achieve through the patient sounding out of meter and sense, the watchful measuring of what inheres and what escapes. Writers can no more know what they mean than what they intend. They will not understand how in what they are writing, they are already written, and therefore have as yet written nothing at all. Words are just words. Poetry is something else. Because poetry is at the heart of the matter. Because poetry is the heart of the matter. Because poetry depends on what we cannot do without. Because poetry defines what we are without. Because poetry defends why without still matters when we're no longer around. Part 2. Question. How is it possible to write something and not write anything at all? Answer. The same way it is possible to say, "Let there be peace," or "I love you," over and over, and not convey a thing. Question. Are you serious about devaluing writers who don't read poetry? Answer. What might indicate any answer to the contrary? Question. Grocery lists? Answer. Without knowing how to read closely, we cannot say adequately, and therefore can never heed accurately what we need. Question. So people who read poetry eat better? Answer. Suddenly the possibility is there. Question. And lawmakers? Answer. They will write better grocery lists too. Not to mention laws. After all, how can anyone conceive a directive on behavior without a thorough understanding of the material that comprises the very design of that directive? Furthermore, how can the consequences of such a mandate even be effectively assessed? Can the great enterprise of justice on behalf of the living succeed if the potentials and limitations of its own construction go unrecognized? Question. Is poetry then merely the particle physics of expression? Answer. That is the matter, but not the heart of it. Part 3.